Thanks, Hillary. Well, welcome everybody. I am so excited to be here this morning and appreciate all of you being here. Today, I was trying to figure out a title for this topic that is near and dear to me, and I came up with mentorship in the margins. And to me, as a woman growing up in a semi-unconventional background, I'm going to be talking from that perspective, but I want to open up today's talk with in mind that there are many people who may not feel seen, and that might be from a socioeconomic background, that might be from a creative artistry background, that might be from a neurodivergency background, that might be from a cultural or racial background, that might be from a gender background, etc. So I just want to hold space for that today and make sure that we're considering that when we're thinking through today's topic. So with that, we're going to open up with an icebreaker today, a little different from our typical ones. I would encourage you all to feel free to, yeah. Okay, everybody, I'm going to have to pull us back in. That's great. It seems like everyone had a good conversation. Okay. So, if you all did not, as of today, consider yourself a mentor or mentee, congratulations. You are now both. Okay. Hopefully you learned some cool stuff. I'm curious, maybe I get to hear some of it after this. Okay. So I'm sure that when you came to this talk, you may have started to think about what mentor might mean to you, and maybe started to think of your first mentors. And that oftentimes are probably parents or a teacher or maybe a friend of a parent or parents of a friend. And real quickly up here, this is me, and I'm the big sister in the family, and that's my little sister. I also have a half brother who's 14 years younger than me. That's another time for another story. And this is my mom, and she's passed, so just to get that out of the way. And as I was reflecting on this topic, I, of course, had to think of her. And this is the part that's kind of sad for me. I'm going to try to get through this. But she was not a typical mentor to me, although she was one. She was an incredible woman, very kind, and taught us the good things, the magic in life, the way to care for people. She was an artist, incredibly talented. She also had a lot of mental health problems that was not, did not suit her well to take care of us. So that led to being very independent at a young age. It also granted me a gift in some ways. It allowed me to have mentorship through others, other venues. Especially, we lived with my grandparents, for instance. My mom had a hard time keeping a house, jobs at times. And it also, we grew up in, so I was born in New Jersey. My mom moved us to Little Rock, Arkansas, because that's where she was from, and my grandparents were there. But because of that, oftentimes in summers, we spent at summer camps when my mom was in work, did have jobs. And I spent a lot of time with Black families, and I got to experience a culture that was very different from my own and be mentored that way. And that was such a gift. And I'm so grateful for that. So I got to see perspectives from so many different places that I would not have had otherwise. One other thing I want to share about my mom, because I think it's relevant to people in this room, is that she was an incredible artist, like I mentioned. And I think about, as I've gotten older, how she did not have strong mentorship in her life, and how much that would have benefited her and my sister and me. Because she was raised to be a pretty well-behaved, proper Southern lady. She was not raised or encouraged or shown how to be a creative, out-of-the-box, brilliant, unusual woman that she was. And she didn't have a lot of other, especially women, to look to see how creative she was and how amazing she was, and what that looked like to also be imperfect and to experiment and not be this gallery shown perfection piece of an artist. And I think that there's probably people in this room, I know there are, my husband is one of them, that don't own being an artist because they don't think they can claim that. And just quickly, I don't have a whole lot of images of her work, unfortunately. I wish I did. It's one of the regrets I have. But these are just some. And my mom, it did not matter what medium she worked in. She wasn't just okay at it. She was brilliant. If it was clay, abstract or detailed, if it was paint, this painting she painted when she was 16. It's not very good on the screen, unfortunately, but or digital media, or photography, or jewelry making, or power tools even. Welding. She was excellent, and everyone that knew her was always in awe, but she just couldn't believe it, never could take it. So take that with you for all the artists in the room. You are probably better than you think, and no one is perfect, and especially in the process. Talk to other artists. So I mentioned that we had a rough kind of start as young people, my sister and me. I, at 17, ended up being independent and moved to Colorado from Arkansas. Sight unseen, by the way. Ended up renting a room off of College Avenue with 3 27-year-olds and box spring mattress and got a job and all that good stuff. Tried to find a job and get independent, go to college. Shortly after, I ended up becoming my sister's guardian when I was 19 and she was 16. I had to put some college on hold. Kept working. Once my sister became more independent on her own, I decided I was going to use my mom's story of what she didn't do and go for it. Go be a creative and not take that narrative of you can't make money or be successful as a creative. So I moved to Los Angeles. And I went back to school for visual communications at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, downtown LA, worked and landed an internship at a fashion, entertainment, and lifestyle magazine called 944, which is up here in one of the photos. And I got my world rocked. I had never lived in a big city before. First year I lived there, I didn't have a car. That was interesting. And then learned how to drive a stick shift in LA. That was more interesting. But when I landed that internship, I met my first mentor that I considered like a real, true, grown-up mentor, I should say. And she was this powerful editor at the magazine. And just a fun fact, anybody watched that maybe horrible show called The Hills? Okay, so Brent Bolthouse was our publisher at the magazine at the time. That was also kind of fun. Okay, so the editor, she saw something in me. I was this intern doing grunt work, basically. And I earned her trust. I remember her telling me, "You're the one I can trust." And she started sending me out on red carpet interviews. And I am an introvert, you guys. I still am, always will be. I love people, but I am an introvert. And I was terrified. I was 20 years old. And so these are some fun things to share with you guys, but relevant. These two images on your left, and then this one on the end here, were the first two red carpet interviews I ever did. So on the left here was outside in Hollywood at Lisa Klein Boutique. And if you're a Twilight fan, that's Keelan Lutz, one of the sparkly vampires. And I got to interview him, and then they were rebooting Melrose Place and 90210 at the time, too. So I got to interview those ladies as well. And it was so interesting being on these facade of Hollywood red carpets. And they also let me pick my own interview questions. So I didn't have to ask the stereotypical, what are you wearing? Who are you dating? Which I hated anyway. And then the other part that was interesting, this one was actually my very first one. It was at Fred Siegel in Santa Monica. It was pouring rain. No one drives in LA when it rains. Even the press, half of them didn't show up. Sponsored by Elle magazine. And it really struck me that this actress was paired, and I found this to be a trend, that the female actresses were always paired with their publicist, like a bodyguard. And they were a product through and through, and they would tell you what you could and could not ask them. And so here on one hand, I'm this young woman being empowered by this I felt big time editor to go out and do this thing. And at the same time, I'm being shown this very objectified version of Hollywood. So I'm getting this interesting pairing. And then I also would see, I'd go to these fashion shows, which you would think would also maybe be some of that, and there was. But I got to see these very empowered women that were very comfortable in their bodies, doing creative work. So I just got exposed to so many cool world-opening moments for me. And then the last little fun thing I'm just going to share, this is just for fun. This was, I actually took this photo recently. I still have this magazine on my desk. We had Lady Gaga on the cover at the time. That's who this is. This is when she was still doing all her crazy stuff. And in this particular issue inside, one of our features, I was sending material back and forth, and they had actually accidentally put my name as one of the bylines in it. So I have like shit tons of these copies. Oh gosh. So after LA, quite a few years went by, and I gained my chops in some of those skills. I also developed quite a bit of technical skills. Print was starting to kind of phase out. Things were going very digital. I gained a lot of web development skills and technical search engine optimization skills. And I moved back to Colorado. I moved to Denver. And this was in 2011. And that was a time where Denver had a nickname called Menver, because there were so many more men than there were women. Fun for dating, maybe, but not so much for the workplace. And it was also a time of big tech startups. So that's where I ended up. I was in a marketing tech startup. And it was a very different culture, again. I was coming with a decent amount of experience with technical knowledge, and being a young woman, I was 23 going on 24. And what that ended up translating to was I was talked over in meetings. I was taken to networking events as kind of a marketing tool. A lot of different things. Was not treated necessarily as a respectable professional. One example I have is I was at a snow show, and this was probably in 2015, 2014. We would go every year to the snow show at the convention center to drum up business, and I'm there with all male colleagues as a senior leadership position. And we wait to meet with one of the head of the big snowboarding companies. We're standing there waiting. We line up in kind of a semicircle, and I'm kind of in the middle. And this man comes to introduce himself to all of us, and he goes down the line, and he gets to me, and I go to, confidently as I can, start to outreach my hand to shake his. He looks at me, and he skips me, and he goes to the next guy next to me. I was humiliated. And at the time, I had no idea what to do. Now I might do something a little differently, but I did not know what to do. And I considered these guys my friends, too. They didn't do anything. They didn't stand up for me. Afterwards, I asked them, "Did you guys see that?" And I remember the sales guy going, "Well, you know, Ash, it's just like that sometimes." And that was a big milestone for me. I thought, God, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I almost let it defeat me. But thankfully, around that same time, we landed this account, SheEO. And it changed my entire life, I think. Vicki Saunders, she is still doing amazing work. She now has Corrales. She's out of Canada. She came down to Denver, and she was trying to launch a Denver chapter under SheEO, and she needed our marketing help. She kind of took me under her wing because I was one of the only women in the company, and I think she could kind of tell that I was being treated a certain way. And so I got to be part of not only helping to launch this cool idea, she called it radical generosity. And it was this concept of the community would raise $1 million, and there would be, I think, 5, don't quote me on this, it's been over 10 years, but 5 to 8 ventures, these women-owned ideas, that would then go on retreat together, pitch their ideas on retreat, and together they would have to decide who out of them would get the $1 million to start their venture. Pretty cool, and takes collaborative decision making and generosity. And then that business would pay it back into the community. It starts all over again. I not only got to see that and be exposed to business language and vocabulary that I think women just naturally aren't exposed to, that men more typically are, not all. But I also was treated as an equal, someone who could contribute and benefit. I felt like I was just being mentored, but they felt like they were getting stuff from me too. And that started to shift how I saw things. So again, I was like 20, let's see. Well, okay, I'm not gonna do that math. I'm gonna be 38 tomorrow. Thanks. And so around this time, I remember thinking, how cool would it be if someday I could create a business where I maybe train other women on how to have technical skills, teach them maybe even some business acumen, and create a safe space for them. And now, over 10 years later, I have exactly that. And one woman here is in the audience today. Thank you, Allison. Hi. And I am so proud to have that, and never really thought I think I would. But that one moment of mentorship changed that for me. And something that has become a major theme in my life, and we talk about this is my company, Obtain Creative, is this concept of mentorship is not a ladder. And I think a lot of people think that you somehow get to this point where you're a mentor. And I think if we think that way, we're doing ourselves a disservice. It's not you get to become a mentor. You get to some professional, polished level or an age and become a mentor. I think mentorship is a circle. And if you're not always trying to look for both opportunities to become a mentee and continue learning and see what you can offer, we're doing our entire community a disservice. And in our team, when we're hiring people, we talk about this concept of you must always be a learner and a teacher. You can't just be one or the other. So I asked the team if they'd be willing to be part of my presentation, and I gave them a bunch of prompts. I was trying to just give it like, what does mentorship mean to you? What have been examples of mentorship in your life? Has female mentorship meant something to you? A bunch of different things. And they were very kind to, at times, like with Sheila, including me. Sheila's been on my team for over 3 years. So Sheila shared, being a mentor to me means leading with patience, humility, and a willingness to grow alongside the person you're guiding. It's not just about having the answers, it's about creating space for questions, learning together, and building trust along the way. True mentorship is a shared journey where both people evolve. Ash has been that kind of mentor for me. Her support, honesty, and belief in my potential have helped me grow, not just as a social media manager, but as a person. She leads with heart, lifts others up, and creates an environment where we all feel safe to learn, take risks, and thrive. I'm grateful every day to learn from someone like her. I'm grateful for Sheila. Thanks, Sheila. Allison, who's here in the audience. Thank you, Allison. Allison's an incredible filmmaker, you guys. So she was on set here, and she shared, one moment that stands out was when I was on a film set at a young age, and the director was a woman. I remember watching her ask questions, take in others' ideas, and then confidently make her own decision. That showed me that leadership could be collaborative and still strong. Being on a team of women feels different. It's more about collaboration than competition. I've felt like I could bring my full self to the table without having to prove I belonged there by acting a certain way. Denise Gallegos, she's out of Albuquerque. I'm actually meeting her for lunch later. She couldn't make it, but she shares, being a mentor means leading by example and creating a safe space for people to learn, ask questions, and make mistakes without fear of judgment. It's about offering support and encouragement while helping someone build the confidence to trust their instincts. It isn't about having all the answers. It's showing up, listening, and helping someone grow into their full potential. And then finally, Maggie here, she's also been with us for a little over 3 years. She shares, one of my earliest and most impactful mentors was my soccer coach, Audrey. She coached me from 6th through 12th grade and was the first woman outside of my family who saw potential in me before I saw it myself. She set the tone for how I wanted to lead and support others. Working under Ash at Obtain has been a breath of fresh air from the stuffy corporate world I came from. She leads with clarity, compassion, and purpose, and she creates a space where every woman is seen, heard, and believed in. She is a great example for why female leadership is important. I've learned that there's something deeply impactful about being mentored by another woman. There's a softness and a strength in the way women support each other. Holding space when things are hard, celebrating wins without ego, and offering insight that comes from shared experiences. That the way we show up for each other matters, and the women who have mentored me have shaped how I move through the world. And something that I think hopefully you guys can see too in all of these, and that I think no matter if you're a woman or not, resounds with being a good mentor. And that is, we don't have to have all the answers, that there shouldn't be judgment in it, and that there's something really special about having a softness and compassion for someone that women just kind of naturally have, but I think we're all very capable of. And so the last thing I want to leave you all with today is probably the most philosophical, abstract idea. And that is a concept of mentorship as social power. And I think we all hold an amount of social power in our communities. We all have different statuses, different levels of connection. And I think, unfortunately, oftentimes those are used to control others, if we're being honest, or I think it's out of fear for like, where do I belong? Where's my value? And I think if we could start to see that differently on what do I have to offer, what vulnerability can I be willing to share with select people? We can't do it with everyone, unfortunately, but who can I share my knowledge with? And also, what can I receive? Like, what can I learn? I think it's not what can I get, but what can I learn that's going to make me better? What can I grow from this? And if we all took that perspective instead of where's my place, God, wouldn't that be so much more beautiful? Santa Fe is not a huge place, you guys. If just everyone in this room started to take that perspective, you could start to change things. So I just want you to think about it. So 3 things from today, maybe you guys can have conversations with each other as you leave, are that mentors aren't always older professionals or put together. We are never just the student or just the teacher. And then what if we replace power, social power, with mentorship? Thank you guys. Thanks for being here. If you want to contact me, you can find me here.